The golden handcuffs were like the hesitation, to be honest. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, the balance here is so strong that like,
Yeah.
is it
Yeah,
worth
man.
me like jumping ship and having
Ah.
to rebuild? And the answer was yes. The answer was always yes. It's just I had to believe that answer.
Welcome to Season 2 of Behind the Business. I'm your host, Fahim Savja. Every episode, we go beyond the business plans and discover the real life and untold stories of today's entrepreneurs. It's time for the people behind the business. Let's get into it. Hey there, just a quick note before we dive in. Alongside Behind the Business, I run a small consulting practice called Savja Advisory. We work with fintechs, founders, and financial institutions. Whether it's product strategy, partnerships, or business transitions, we're in the business of helping small businesses and those who serve them succeed. If that's you, check us out at savjaholdings.com/advisory. All right, back to your episode. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining on Behind the Business, dude.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you, and I'm excited to talk about Fuse. It's kind of a bit of a crazy story that you've been through, and even your journey is one that's definitely not one that most people follow. But before we get into all of that, tell me a bit about Fuse and what Fuse Jewelry is.
Yeah, Fuse Jewelry is a retail business
Okay.
in the jewelry space
Yeah.
where we focus on custom jewelry specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we do luxury watches, and then we do everyday traditional jewelry as well.
Nice.
But our main focus is really on the custom jewelry, tennis bracelets, engagement rings, wedding
Nice.
rings, all the above.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you started from like a bit of a different path. You said you had a lot of history from a family perspective, from a family business perspective growing up in the jewelry business, right?
Yeah, we do have a lot of, well, my dad's still in the business today.
Okay, nice.
So, like, he's out in Memphis. He does his own thing. They're more
Nice.
in the hip-hop scene of the jewelry space.
Nice.
So
Okay.
they've had a few, like, clientele, like Yin Yang Twins and, like, a few basketball players roll through.
Oh, damn.
So, like, that's his cup of tea, though.
Yeah.
He really enjoys that. I enjoy the more laid-back, fine jewelry style.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He's more fast-paced than I am, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. I mean, I bet like growing up, you have some crazy stories about, I don't know, did you ever meet some of these like hip hop artists that were coming in?
So crazy enough, we actually used to do this thing called a radio where like we would
Okay.
have hot dogs and hamburgers for the community.
Okay.
And like a DJ would come from like the radio station.
That's awesome.
And so like we got to meet a lot of local artists that
That's
way,
awesome.
you know?
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool in that way and engaging in that manner.
Did you ever get dripped out in like massive chains yourself? Or you were like, nah, this isn't for me?
It's not really for me. I made one when I first started
Yeah.
Fuse. I was thinking about it, so I did make one Cuban with like a piece for
Nice.
myself.
That's wicked.
It's gone though. We got rid of it.
Oh, no, what?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I thought you would rock it today. Come on.
I know. I was thinking about it, but I felt like the time
There you
piece was
go.
more important.
There you go.
You know?
I get it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
And so congrats on Fuse. Tell me a bit about the path, because I know, you had a family history in jewelry, but a lot of people who have family history with a business end up just like taking it over, but you ended up going a different path and starting something on your own.
Yeah, so it starts with safety, man, really. Like
Okay.
in our jewelry industry, safety is one of the hardest things to come by, it feels like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you don't realize how much we actually put thought into that aspect of it. And there's been a lot of times where my family has been insecure in that situation, and we've had experiences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't want to be insecure, and that also meant that not just avoiding safety,
Yeah.
but actually creating safety in an environment, right? Like making it safe for people wanting to come in, have these more one-on-one interactions.
I got
Whereas like if you're like more people in a jewelry store, it's a little bit harder to have that level of intimacy and connection.
I got you. I want to talk a little bit more about that, because I don't think a lot of people that I've interviewed, or even most people who start their own businesses, and like, again, the purpose of this podcast is mainly for people who are interested in entrepreneurship to get a real perspective on what that life is like.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people talk about security. People think about security from a financial perspective. Like, I
Right.
want to have my own sense of financial security. But you're talking about like the security of your family and yourself.
Of course. Yeah, and my employees too, right? And people that we work with. These are very valuable goods, and we've experienced interactions that have gone south for us.
Yeah.
That where we're looking to prevent that for ourselves, and also like overall, we want to build a community around jewelry. It's not just about selling you a piece of jewelry, because there's plenty of retailers that are already doing that today. That's how they play. There's intention in us where we want to be part of the community, where we want to be contributors in the community, and we are. We're doing that behind the
Yeah.
scenes,
Yeah.
and we're bringing it forward now and making the forefront of the business rather than it being like, this is what we do behind closed doors.
Yeah, I got you. It's crazy how like personal experience from like the security angle of things changes your perspective on the way you run your business. Is that like I have to ask, is that why you initially in your career chose not to do jewelry? Like you have a software background,
Yeah.
like not traditional, business owner background, other than when your family was involved. Tell me a
Totally.
bit about that.
So the transition for me from software engineering into entrepreneurship was super easy in reality.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Not from a fiscal standpoint, more so from like my ethos, my belief system,
I got you.
where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And the challenge was figuring out where in the industry I wanted to land, because traditionally, like you said, my family's in the hip hop space, and that's I could tap right in. And I'm not really someone who enjoys the challenge that I've already experienced before, and I know the challenges that I'm going to experience, and if it's going to have an outcome for my family that's negative and that puts my family in jeopardy in any situations, I am not willing to engage in that behavior anymore.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, like, what was the reason for going down the software path in the first place?
Yeah, it was to understand technology and to start to embed it into Fuse itself. So
No way.
yeah, so we're a tech-first company, and so we're not just a retailer, we're working on a wholesale leg as well, and a manufacturing leg itself too.
Okay.
And we don't just want to play with other retailers, we actually want to work with other companies. So like, there's some stuff I can't talk about.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Though at the same time, I'll talk around it so you can get an idea of what we're doing.
I'd love to.
Yeah, so like integrating technology into rings. That is something that we are playing with. We're playing with designs around. We're playing with a company currently to figure
Nice.
out what that's going to look like for us.
For sure.
And that sort of steps us into like, well, fine jewelry has that opportunity too. It's like, why isn't there technology in fine jewelry? Not just from the production angle, but also like value to consumer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's so interesting because you fused your experience.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, it was
set
bound to
up.
happen. I knew it was. But yeah, you actually have fused your experience with software engineering and like spending time in the Bay Area and understanding that landscape to then bringing it home with your experience in jewelry growing up and now with your own business. I have never heard someone say incorporate technology in fine jewelry. Like, yeah, there are products out there that are, intelligent rings or smartwatches or things that, provide a lot of value for customers. But fine jewelry, like, is that actually a thing?
So I think it will become a thing. Right now,
Yeah.
it's definitely not a thing. And I think like there's prototype ideas that we have that we want to play with
Nice.
and
Okay.
see what we can do there. Though at the same time, like we understand that like it's already a very high ticket item. It already takes so much time to produce these things at
sure.
moments with the details that we're going into in them.
Yeah.
So we have to be cognizant of that, because where does it become like a wholesale manufacturing play and where does it stay on the retail side?
Yeah.
That's the dance that we're playing.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about like the early innings of Fuse though. When you decided to go out and build the brand. I think that was what, 3-4 years ago now?
5 years ago.
5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So what were those early days like? And the choice you made to be like, all right, now is the time to leave software engineering and go into my own business.
So in the early days, it was definitely testing the water. And initially, I had designed a few friends of mine's rings.
Okay,
and
got
that's
you.
what kicked it off. That like, hey, like they liked the way that I was designing rings.
Yeah.
That brought them in, and then it was very straightforward. We stayed word of mouth
Yeah.
for quite some time, and we've still heavily lean in on the word of mouth presence. Though my perspective was different in that I'm not just gonna buy low, sell high this shit. I'm actually going to get in the weeds. Like I've trained under a Tiffany and Co. stone setter.
Mhm.
Like I'm currently on the bench learning to be a master jeweler. So like the journey is like I'm in the jewelry too. I'm not just producing it or making it happen from like my magical puppet hands. Like
Sure.
it's not happening like that. Like I'm in the weeds, and that's where the trust really is that like, hey, like eventually, like if we could come at it, I'd love to go into watches from like that angle too of like,
Yeah.
combining technology and the fine jewelry aspect of it. There's a lot of brands that are coming up that I feel like are doing like an interesting job. Like Richard Milles, making them very unique, and
Yeah.
they're very present and intentional in their design. But let's talk about functionality, right? It's still a watch, right?
Yeah.
So that game is still yet to be played, and like that's where we want to play, and we know the industry's not there yet. So we're like playing the industry where it's at right now,
Yeah.
right? Like the retail leg, like getting into the luxury watches, and
Right.
also like finding opportunity of like, hey, like these designs do well. Well, what's the true function behind them? What could be there?
What about like when you were forming the business? Like, tell me about when you decided to say, okay, we're gonna start Fuse.
Yeah.
But and like, what were the initial challenges you had? Like, did you work with? I think it's you and your wife,
Yeah.
right? Like, did you work with your wife early on getting it all set up? Like, how do you
Oh man,
manage that?
I had to enroll my wife. That's the first person I
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
enroll. She's my co-founder. I can't believe I didn't even say anything until now
yeah.
about her, right?
Oh
Like,
man, you're gonna get in trouble later. No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So like, yeah, first I enrolled her, and she honestly didn't see the vision because she just saw my dad's business and was like, "Hey,
Yeah,
is this just like a rinse and repeat of like that?" Because that's how we played it in the beginning. We weren't sure if like how hard did we want to lean in onto custom, because custom's hard. It is
yeah,
not the everyday like come into my store, grab a ring, and hand it to you
yeah.
type of
I also
situation.
feel like it's not as stable in this, not in the perspective of like the world of jewelry. Like I'm comparing it to a lot of people who I know are listeners and are software engineers themselves and having a steady 9 to 5 ish paycheck and lifestyle, right? Which
Yeah,
is great. Nothing's wrong with that.
yeah.
But you decide to be like, no, I'm not. I don't want that. But why?
Yeah, well, I was sick of the golden handcuffs to some degree in a way
Yeah.
that like I didn't see growth for myself there.
Yeah, I got you.
And the other main component was that there was something lacking in me from the beginning, whereas my passion, my heart was not in that game.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
to play the technology game, and I didn't know how to play it for myself. The best place to play it was the corporate environment because I could skill set level up really quickly because I
Mm-hmm.
know how to learn quick. And that's something I feel like a lot of people can learn from corporate. Like you can like get the knowledge you need relatively quick if you know what you're looking for,
Yeah.
and then it's up to you how you're going to translate it though, right? And that's where it was tough. It was like, yes, AWS, yes, software engineer, yes, worked on like deploying APIs and all that fun
Of
stuff,
course.
right? And how do I bring that back into creating a sales system that generates revenue day after day, month after month, year after year? So like there is transferability, and now there's like a layer on top, right?
Yeah.
It takes layers on top. If especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, or if only your wife's involved, or if you only got a few people involved, it's like
You're doing everything.
you're doing everything and
Yeah.
you're learning how to delegate, right? Because there's a
Mm.
fine line of things that you can't do, and like you will experiment and you will have challenges, you'll have hurdles, and that's the moment where you're handing off. And that's where Pinaz has been like crucial. She's
Okay.
been crucial. So like marketing is not my forefront.
Sure.
Though we've realized that me being the face of it has helped the marketing
Yeah.
scheme a lot, you
Yeah.
know? So now she gets to go back and take that and run it in her cycles of the marketing cycles of what's going to happen, where we're going to
Nice.
go with the storyboard and all of that. And now I'm
Nice.
paralleling out, and I can focus on, okay, hey, I want to focus on production. I want to focus on scaling. Like I want to have rings with like sensors in them to like start getting people their heart rate, whatever, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to start focusing on this as a tangential while we scale the retail avenue. And then there's opportunity because I'm letting that piece go. And
Yeah.
it's been hard though. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to be
Yeah.
real with you. It's like letting go of control as an entrepreneur is like, oh man,
Even if it's your spouse.
even if it's your spouse.
Yeah.
Well, because this is our baby too,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
This is we have our 4-month-old baby, and now we have a
Yeah.
5-year-old, right?
Yeah. The whole fatherhood thing is something that I want to get into, but before we even go there, like I really resonate with the idea of having trouble handing off, because I've experienced this. A lot of other entrepreneurs have told me this as well, where you own something from the get-go and you're doing everything in the early innings, but you at some point you have to hand off. At some point it's going to have to be required unless you stop growing, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about working with your spouse and what that's been like, because I know some people have a great working relationship and some people have a difficult time like balancing work and home. Yeah.
Great question. The challenge balancing life and home is definitely present. I
Yeah.
think in the early days, especially because like directionality and a vision of the business, because I'm definitely the visionary behind the business, and Banaz is definitely asking the questions, well, how, well, how, well, how? You can't achieve your vision without enrolling the other person into your vision.
Hmm.
So as I would go on, I would recognize, okay, this is going to enroll her into the next part of the vision. Okay, like this time we're going to try lab diamonds. We'll try it out. We'll see how it goes.
Mm.
How's it going? It's going okay. Okay, we're seeing good results. Okay. So she became my barometer essentially to determine whether or not if we're going in the right direction or not. Now, but then that stopped at one point. At one point,
Mm.
we got to a point where the depth we were in was out of her depth.
What
And
do you mean?
when we started doing larger engagement rings,
Yeah.
it became my field view because I know stones way better than
I
Benaz
got you.
does. It
I
was no
got you.
longer a marketing play of like, hey, this is the field that we're getting into,
Understood.
right?
Yeah.
So when that happened, she had to learn how to like hear feedback and be like, okay, well, like now we need to adjust the overall play based on X, Y, and Z that we're getting in. And that's still a dance that we're playing today,
Of
right?
course.
You
Yeah.
know, like that one doesn't end, unfortunately, because like do you ever stop marketing? Like,
Yeah. No, you
like,
can't.
right?
Yeah.
And you're evolving, especially as a retail slash e-commerce business in that space, you are evolving in order to achieve that,
For
right?
sure.
Because if you want to play with the big boys, you gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta learn how to play ball.
Have you noticed that at some point, you have or you are going to have to like enroll other employees to make this work?
Yeah, I think that's on the works already. I think
Yeah.
it's in the books. There's a lot of work going in right now to people that are coming on board in the near
Nice.
term,
That's awesome.
which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And we get to go back and expand the team even further. So, like, from the standpoint of like our manufacturing, like, so the bench jewelers we currently work with are private as well. So they're
I
private
got you.
contractors.
I got you.
So
You want to bring that in house.
bringing them in house is
Yeah.
the next step. And like part of that is also building our commercial leg out, like having the space for it. Because right now it's mainly our showroom focus. We mainly focus on our showroom being a literal showroom. We can handle like
Mm-hmm.
repairs. We handle all of that outside in our makerspace that we're in
Yeah.
outside of the showroom.
Yeah.
So the main goal is to have that makerspace be ours.
Yeah. I got you.
And so anything that it takes in between is like that's where we're at. And culture becomes the mechanism of institution that we want. So that way, as you're coming on board, it feels like a family,
Yeah.
and you still have corporate expectations. Though, don't
Of
get me
course.
wrong,
Yeah.
and I've been victim to them, and my wife has too, right? Because we worked in corporate, we get to hold each other high, and when we're not doing well, we call each other shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's been harder for her than it is for me because
Mm-hmm.
she's like still tethering the waters of like, hey, how is he gonna take this? And I've also gotten to evolve in that process, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now you're on a whole new like field of life with being a father. 4-month-old. This guy is the most adventurous 4-month-old I've seen. I've seen pictures of him out in the water and in pools. That's awesome, man. But what's that been like now that you're balancing being a father, giving time to your child, but also running a business?
It's about making the time intentional that I'm spending with him.
Yeah.
So rather than it just being like, hey, dad's coming home from work, like get him ready for bed. Like, yes, Asim's also involved in those aspects of his life.
Yeah.
And then making time and making sure that Idris is on the calendar himself already, getting his action. So he's already gone to New York.
Yeah,
We're
so
doing
cool.
so cool, right? And then like he's headed to Richmond, Virginia in a couple weeks with me
Yeah, that's
to
awesome.
visit a friend of ours that runs a cafe. So like it, the adventure thing is about, I felt that when I was growing up, I was very locked down to where I was. And that's not
Mm.
any fault of my parents'. It's just the circumstance that we were in that situation growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more about like, I want to give him the opportunity to understand that, hey, look, life isn't just like being complacent with where you're at and what's going on around you. It's about seeing what is the thermometer. Am I good? Am I not good? And if I'm not good, what can I do to change my environment? Sometimes that means travel. Sometimes that means going to Barton Creek and cooling off, right?
Sure.
It can mean a whole host of things, and engaging that early on right now and building that foundational culture in him, I feel like will shape his whole perspective of like how he wants to contribute in the world.
That's wild. Uh, and like you've brought something up that I've actually never heard because I have never thought about at that early age giving a child experiences that like forget business for a second, but from like changing your environment. Because I grew up very similar in the sense that um, whether it was financial constraints or other
Totally.
job-related issues, you're bound to where you are, right?
Yep.
And whether you like your circumstance or not, that's where you are, you know?
Yeah.
So you're actively trying to give him a different landscape, like a different feel of you could be anywhere, and if you need to change your landscape, you can. Is that the idea?
That's exactly the idea. So like next year I'll drop a cool little bomb here. So like next year the plan's to go to Portugal for a month and him to experience a whole new culture as a 1-year-old. And what is it like to go out and like venture
Yeah.
out with an uncle and aunt that are Portuguese and like,
Yeah.
like get that experience and get that feel for it. Like I, I just want him to have it all from that cultural and diversity standpoint before he even has it all from like a material standpoint or any of that, because I want to put those at odds. I want
Yeah.
him to decide between the two, right? Like we were fortunate. We grew up at a time where technology wasn't as embedded into our lives,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So to reinvent that though, like, right, for your own kids, so that way they have the choice to make whether or not like, yes, I want to be a software engineer, but I also love being a clay potter. So can I do both of them? Yeah,
Can I
absolutely.
fuse them?
Yeah.
Had to bring it back. Man.
It's trademark. No, copyrighted.
No, that's really cool because and I applaud that. Like I'll
Thank
be
you.
100% honest because I have friends and family and even my own upbringing that didn't have the not the ability to do it, but just the thought process to be intentional about that. Like I don't think a lot of people think about that. So especially as a business owner who is like focused on growing, like you're also trying to be intentional about growing the business, but also growing like this individual to be someone good. Like
Yeah.
that balance. Like we're expecting, and it's something that
Congratulations.
thank you that I'm like, how am I gonna do this, right? And I'm sure we'll figure it out, but it's something that's not easy to put in the same room.
Well, I guess what I would say there for you, in your standpoint, it's more about your own self-reflection.
Yeah,
Because when you start to learn about yourself, about where you want to go with things,
yeah,
like the fact that you know now that, hey, like, oh, actually, I resonate with that feeling as well of like
100%.
being trapped a little bit,
Yeah,
in where I was at. So, like, now you get to take that where you want to. Maybe you don't want him to be like adventurous in that category,
sure.
or you want him to like know every kind of cheese that she
Yeah,
wants to know at like
yeah,
whatever point in time, right?
sure. Yeah,
So, like, I think there's so much opportunity there, and the
yeah,
best engagement is conversation,
100%. Yeah.
So,
I think I'm very fortunate to have gone down the path of entrepreneurship, and as much as I want to give a realistic perspective to people and to our audience about what the realities of being an entrepreneur are, and not to glamorize it, I do think being a business owner and being a parent is actually something that could work really well together. Not just because there's flexibility, but you have to be intentional, like you mentioned, right, about giving time to both.
well, I'm also not giving credit to the fact that as an entrepreneur, you're working nights and weekends. Like I work nights and
There you
weekends, and
go.
like all of that, and like what you mentioned early on, which is why I resonated so much with it, was the balance. It's
Yeah,
like you get to be there for your kid, and you
yeah,
get to be there for your business. And if you're the report card for you every day, there's feedback from your kid and there's feedback from the business every day, right? So you're taking
yeah,
those in and then you're recalibrating and then you're going back in and you're bringing what's your next level? What's your next level? Because you're right, it does translate. If I do a bad job on a deal in the business, I'm not saying I come home and take it out on Idris. It's more like I come home and he feels the intention that I had in that deal. Where was
mm,
I at? Right?
yeah.
Did I come at it from a place of love and intention? Did I come at it from there, or did I come at it and Asim wants to get this transaction done? Like
I got
I
you.
want to be on the move. I want to get going. Like who's next? Right? And like
Yeah.
those both can happen, and I've seen it happen because I've done it. And he gets both sides of me before I'm just giving him one side of him, right?
Mhm.
Before I'm just giving like, this is the transaction mode of me, I'm bringing that home. Now I'm giving him the opportunity to see the choice in me,
Yeah.
right?
As a business owner, did you have resources or tools or things that you leaned on, especially early on, to be able to, you know, go out and do something out on your own?
Truthfully, the answer is yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, there are some aspects of it that I did have. Like my dad had some ideas about what he thought where the industry was going,
Sure. Yeah.
and I started to piggyback off of that. And then honestly, like it was putting in my software engineering salary into the business for 4 years straight.
Yeah.
And that's really what allowed me to get to where I'm at. Cause if I didn't know it, I bought it.
Yeah.
And
What does that mean?
like if I didn't know the knowledge or the information in the industry,
Yeah.
I was able to buy my way in to whatever aspect that was. So it's like if I didn't know how to stone set, I bought a training and I was like,
got you.
you know what I mean?
I got
Like
you. Yeah.
that was my approach, and I was like, I'm gonna keep doing that, right? Like
Yeah.
until I get to a point of like feeling comfortable about the industry and like I've engaged with enough people, places, things that I like feel really confident about going forward with this.
Yeah.
And I'm also seeing the financial trajectory. I think like that was the other indicator, right? Like it was a lagging indicator because 2020, like COVID time, was unique for retail jewelers where we did
course.
well, you know.
Of course.
And then it was a recalibration after that.
I appreciate that because I think a lot of people have a difficult time figuring out like their first step, right? Like what are the tools and resources that I can avail that get me to one from zero, right?
Yeah.
And that's really helpful that you had that family background, but a lot of it also had to do with, from what I'm hearing, having like the stability or having the knowledge from your own individual career. And I think that goes a long way because you really did like, put those two experiences together.
Yeah. I think it's important. You can't look when you're starting a business. If you're thinking that you don't have to invest any dollars into it,
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, right? Like we're not at a place anymore in the world where you can like go out there. Can you go raise VC dollars, extra, whatever, right? Like there's opportunity there, though. There is something I will say about bootstrapping. The way that like anyone that bootstraps a business knows that like you put your guts into it. Like we've been in the red a couple times, a few months, and like and your gut sinks because like the rest of your salary is gonna go into this month, and like there's a lot of feelings. The credit card's gonna be up this month, like a lot of things come up, and we got the opportunity to work it down, and like we were in debt too at one point in time, and we were able to pay it off, and like we're scaling now. We're at a place where things are getting more stabilized financially, and that honestly came with intention. Is like we sat down and we were like, okay, if the finances are not doing well and the sales are doing extraordinarily well, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Something's broken.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we weren't playing the game of like, oh, you know what? We'll figure it out. It's okay. We kept playing that game, and it came to a point of like, no, if we keep playing this game, we're going to be like
no, dude.
$600K in debt. And sure, the bank account will have 7 figures in it. And like, we'll be like, what's going on? So yeah,
that's like a whole other thing that I would love to talk about at some point, because a lot of the work that I do personally outside of the podcast is like financial coaching for small businesses.
Nice.
Because there is a lot of misconception about, can I just take the money that's sitting in my bank account out? And like not necessarily, right? Like that just because you've made that money and it's coming in as revenue doesn't mean that that's yours. Like you have liabilities, you have other people to pay,
Absolutely.
you have things that are coming out, and cash flow management, especially at an early stage, is so important. Using tools and resources that show you how to use it effectively, right? But that's something that I think a lot of people need help with. So that's something that I'm doing on the side.
Nice.
Now that you've gone through 5 years of business, when you think about those early days of deciding whether or not to start, is there something that you would tell yourself, knowing what you know now, to yourself back then?
Yeah, fail faster and pull the trigger.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Like you would have started earlier?
I would have went full time sooner.
Wow. Why do you say that?
Look, the time that you put into any game that you're willing to play only exponentially increases when you're like fully invested.
Did you have like hesitation?
The golden handcuffs were like the hesitation, to be honest. It was like, hey, the balance here is so strong that like, is it worth me like jumping ship and having to rebuild? And the answer was yes. The answer was always yes. It's just I had to believe that answer.
Yeah.
And if I believed it sooner, then like I'm in a community, so like I know a lot of other jewelers that are in the game too.
Sure.
Which has been great for me, like because that's another thing I would highly recommend. If any business you're going into, find the community. There's a community for that business. Find that community, embed yourself in it, whatever that means for that individual. That's a big one I would just drop in there. And for me, the jewelry community though made me realize that there's people younger than me that are playing it so unique that I wasn't even thinking about in ways,
That's so cool.
So it's just like the opportunity there isn't just for them to share with me. It's also me to share with them, like where I've gotten to, like the quality that we're bringing to our business. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a lot there that I get to give back to them now through this community, and I'm so excited to be doing that and bringing my like software engineering knowledge
Of course.
to the next generation, because like not everyone is using ChatGPT for their business. Not everyone
Yeah.
is doing X, Y, and Z, the net new tools. Like, and I think if you want to make a fair playing field and you want small businesses to thrive and like actually be able to rise up, because I'm pretty sure the statistic is like in 5 years, most of them are dead,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you want those to thrive, we've got to rethink the way that we are like embedding ourselves. Like, what is the small business stack? You know,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am so on board with that because I feel like there's not enough when it comes to somebody who is starting out, or for just a small business owner who is running day-to-day operations but has no idea about the inefficiencies that they have day to day,
Yeah.
right? And yes, there are a lot of tools out there, but the way you're going to get there, in my opinion, and you said it, is community. Like, it's going to be your community that you trust to be like, hey, you sign up for this product or this tool. It's really helped me, and you trust them because they've gone through what you're going through. So I love that. That's amazing advice. This is a bit of a fun question for you. What has been the most interesting piece you've ever designed?
It's a tough question because it depends on which aspect of the industry I want to focus on.
Okay.
So if you're going to talk about my early career, then it's going to be grills. I did a
Yeah.
lot of grills.
No
I
way.
still get to do occasionally. People come in and will want to grill, and
Sure.
like it's fun for me, though. Like I'm a little bit more stringent on like who I'm taking and what I'm
Yeah.
doing now for
Fair
the
enough.
grill process.
Yeah.
Though like I really enjoy it. And then the other side is going to be I get to do championship rings.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we've had a few people reach out for championship rings, and that's been like a lot of fun because I get to invest people's culture and their heritage into that championship style ring.
Hell yeah.
And like, I think gemstones and stones also get to tell a story, and it's
Yeah.
for us, it's not just about like, oh, cool, like we got you a VVS diamond. Like,
Sure.
we're actually sharing like, hey, this one's from Ghana, this one's from India, like this is like the purpose, this is why we sourced this. Like we're getting into the nitty gritty because we want you to understand like where this has been in the journey. And it's been like really nice to learn people's heritage and make it a part of like our business, because it's such a privilege, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that.
You
Yeah, I
know?
love that.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I went with the jeweler I went with for my for the engagement ring
Yeah.
was that they coached me and they taught me along the way because I had no idea. Like
Yeah.
most people who are looking to get engagement rings or other jewelry aren't experts in the jewelry themselves. So you have to have someone that you trust give you, like what actually is worth it. And sometimes people are really salesy. And the reason why I didn't go with others is because of that. But the guy I went with was reasonable and taught me what I was looking at. And it sounds like what you're doing. So kudos.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And I think like coaching is inevitable in my industry. It's like if you're thinking about being a jeweler, if that's like your form of entrepreneurship you're willing to engage in, then being coached,
Yeah.
being willing to be coached is probably the one of the best traits to have, because I did not have it early on.
Yeah.
That's why it took me some time. I feel like I had a lot of hiccups of like, I'm really good at this, or I've gotten really good, like where is my return on investment?
Yeah.
And we get caught in that cycle, and you get to humble yourself with like what you have going on around you.
Totally.
And recalibrate and then keep it going.
Totally. My last question for you is,
Do it.
now that you've been in the business for 5 years, you highlighted a bit of it, like some of the technology work maybe, but what does the next 5 years look like for you?
Yeah, the next 5 years, man, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be the manufacturing facility. We're hoping, fingers crossed, in the next 2 years to have that fully built, established. And we want to engage the community in that too. Like, so the point of the manufacturing is not just to have this private facility that like sits outside the community. It's actually to be like, hey, like you thought like, hey, today's a day, it's Tuesday, I want to get my wife flowers and I want to make her some jewelry. Okay, you come in. I'm serious. Like you come in and you like are like, cool, I'm gonna make her ball earrings today, and like you go through the process, you get to understand whether or not you want to physically do it or you want help along the way. Totally fine. So I want people to learn about the business too, because to me, then we get to the really fun part where like people are like, oh, I want this, I want that, and like right now it's a lot of like, this gets done over here. Can you do this for me? And I want that to shift as an industry, and being part of the manufacturing is part of that cultural shift of like, hey, I can engage with clientele, people, whoever I want in that way. My family's business is a family business. Like literally my aunts and uncles and everyone we know would work the shop,
there. Yeah.
right? And it was the best because the feeling of community that you would have in like closing deals and like shop
It's
talk,
communal.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt great. And then like we also had competition. Like my dad was working in a different store, I was working at a different store. So like at 10 or 12, this kid is trying to like be like, okay, I'm gonna outpace a 30 or 40-year-old. So it built my hustle. It built my drive.
Of
Like
course.
there's so much that comes from those interactions
Yeah.
of community
Yeah.
that I hope every entrepreneur gets to play, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the dream, man.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned last question a few questions ago,
That's okay.
but I got one more for you. And I know you can't mention some projects you're working on, but what's one project, one like, you know, not goal, but one piece that you're like, man, I can't wait to work on this.
Every time I go through this cycle, the next deal that I want comes
the
through.
next
So
one.
I'm so excited that you brought this up.
Yeah.
So our goal is that we climb carats. That's what we love calling it. So like as we close, like when I first started, I was like, when am I going to get my first half carat?
Oh,
When am I
okay,
going to get my
gotcha.
first carat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think we're at 5 carats right now.
Unreal.
Okay.
In one
In
piece.
one stone.
Wow.
Okay. So the goal is to get to like 10 to 15 carats one day and like be able to do merchandise in that category. So man, that's really the dream. And then the other aspect is I would say like stone wise, it's that. And then I really want to engage in, if I had the opportunity, we have 200 countries in the world. I want to engage in all 200 cultures of jewelry and be able to bring 200 cultures
That's so cool.
into jewelry. So it's like, it's not just your everyday pave setting, but maybe on the sides, like you've got like an embellishment of Egyptian, if you're of Egyptian route, like you got Egyptian culture on here. So like having that, I think will be like our like, finally we'll have fused everything we want to fuse together, technology, culture, love, like everything that we want to bring together, like that will be there. And I see it happening. Like
That's
if we
awesome,
got in
man.
here, man, it's not too far away.
I believe it, man. I believe it. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you,
Behind the
man.
Business. I appreciate you being here. If you're in Austin or if you're not in Austin, definitely check out Fuse Jewelry. Happy to have you on the show, man. We have to do another session about when
Let's
you
do
get to the 10 or 11 carat and the next evolution of that journey. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you,
Awesome,
man.
man.
Thank you.
My name is Fahim Sabja,
Aasim Sayani.
and we hope to see you on the next episode of Behind the Business.
Thanks for tuning in on this episode of Behind the Business. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, share it with someone who's on their own entrepreneurial journey or thinking about starting one. Also, follow, subscribe, and leave a review whenever you listen. Lastly, keep up with us on Instagram at BehindTheBiz_POD. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep listening. This is Fahim Sabja, signing off from Behind the Business.